Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Cat checking out with another video. Today on the channel, we got another swamp story. We got MURDALAND, MAFIA, PIRU's. This right here is Baltimore's most dangerous set. I didn't even know Baltimore had like blood sets. To be honest with y'all, like all the popular rappers from Baltimore is Crips, so I just thought it was all Crips out there. I didn't know it was the Bloods. Let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of Swamp Stories. For this video, we enter a very mysterious place. This is probably one of the wildest stories I've ever told. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. You can also follow the Instagram page as well. So let's get into it. Every year, the media releases the top 10 most dangerous cities. And for those of us who pay attention, we notice that 5 cities always make the list: New Orleans, Detroit, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and most importantly, Baltimore. However, unlike these other cities, Baltimore is somewhat unknown on a larger scale. Yes, of course, everyone knows the Baltimore Ravens, but that's about it. But I'm here to tell you that Baltimore is a very dark place, the kind of city that makes yours look like paradise. But let me first explain how things got this way. Once upon a time, Baltimore was a wealthy city with plenty of great jobs. It even attracted a million.
For real?
Residents by 1960, but that's when everything began falling apart. Many of us know the story of redlining, school funding, white flight, and the destruction they caused. This happened all over America, but nowhere was hit worse than Baltimore, Maryland. During the 1970s, over 30% of Baltimore's population left for the suburbs. It was already an unpleasant looking city, but now it was abandoned and run down. And from here, things only got worse and worse.
Yo, it still look like this. Like to this day, it still look like
city, but now
it still look like this, bro. This might be like an updated one. He might have got this from like one of them YouTubers that like do like hood tours or whatever. But this is what it looked like, bro. To this day.
It was abandoned and run down. And from here,
like, I'm talking about abandoned, still abandoned, like row houses, row houses boarded up.
Here, things only got worse and worse, to the point where Baltimore led the nation in crime in 1977. In the 1980s, Baltimore and Los Angeles got connected on a business level, if you know what I mean. Guys from South Central and Compton would drive out to Baltimore and vice versa. And
bro, who making that drive, bro? That's like fucking days. That's all the way on the other side of the states, bro. That shit is crazy. Who the fuck making that drive, bro? That's real life, like a 4 to 5 day road trip, bro. Who doing that? Like,
through this process, Los Angeles' street culture began spreading to Baltimore. By 1990, Baltimore had over 12 sets operating in the city, both red and blue. During this time, neighborhoods like Hopkins and Cherry Hill became the worst areas in the city. But because it's Baltimore, nowhere is truly a good area. And for this video, we focus on the northwest side of Baltimore, which is typically not seen as a bad area. In fact, many Baltimore residents would consider it the suburbs. The houses are bigger and the apartments are more well kept on this side of the city. But just because something glitters does not make it gold. The northwest side was home to Compton's Treetop PIRU. This is because throughout the 90s, the Treetop PIRUs formed strong relationships with the Northwest Hustlers. So in turn, much of the area became Treetop territory. But because of the area they existed in, there really wasn't much beef. Instead, they developed a reputation of being the biggest hustlers in the city. This lasted for quite a few years, but then it came crashing down in 2008. 15 members were indicted and nearly every single one testified against their leader. The entire city of Baltimore was looking at Treetop like Ratatouille, so the remaining members all quit. This was officially the end of Treetop PIRUs in Baltimore. However, one particular member did not want to see it go away. This would be a man named Dante Bailey, also known as Gutta. This guy was one of the wildest Treetop members, the kind of guy that everyone feared. He built his entire life off a street reputation and he could not see it go. So he decided he would start a new section of the PIRUs, and his plan was for the solid Treetop members to join his side. On March 2nd, 2009, Dante Bailey officially started the MURDALAND Mafia PIRU, also known as MMP. MURDALAND is the nickname for Maryland, PIRU represents what used to be, and Mafia represents what Dante had in mind. Despite his street ways, Dante had a passion for film, which will later be relevant. He admired guys like Tony Montana, John Gotti, and Vito Corleone. So this is exactly how he structured MMP. He wanted his members to listen to him how they would listen to a mob boss back in the day. And with this, members could earn titles like Capo, Boss, or Underboss. He made it abundantly clear that what happened to Treetop would never happen to MURDALAND. In fact, his biggest fear was disloyalty behind his back. So members had to follow a very strict code that came with serious consequences. Talking behind a fellow member's back could result in discipline, and snitching, yeah, that was raps. But with this code came rewards as well, in the form of tattoos. Once an individual officially became a member, they earned an M tattoo. And once they completed a successful mission, they earned a lightning tattoo. The lightning bolt would be placed directly under their eye, and everyone knew what this meant. Well, by the summer of 2009, there were over a dozen official members. So once Dante had his squad, he needed to find a place for them to be. He ended up choosing kind of an odd location. This would be a BP gas station on Windsor Mills Road. He chose this strange location for three particular reasons.
Damn, that motherfucker say gas is $2?
Windsor Mills Road. He chose
from the good ass days.
this strange location for three particular reasons. Number one, he was allegedly cool with the owner of the gas station. Number two, there are multiple low-income apartments in walking distance. And finally, the proximity to Highway 70, making for an easy escape. Well, because of MMP, the BP gas station became the hotspot of the Northwest. And through this process, MMP started stacking their money taller and taller, even to the point where a lot of members moved to nearby suburbs. In fact, Dante got himself a house in Milford Mill and a Mercedes coupe as well. The MMP production got larger and larger scale, and honestly, it was a perfect situation. Because they operated in a better part of town, they didn't have to worry about other rivals. It was all about money, money, and more money. But then, out of nowhere, Dante Bailey began getting paranoid. His biggest fears of disloyalty and informants were eating him alive.
So we went to this place called Bucks County for vacation. There was so much to do.
Was weary of one man in particular, a man named Antoine Poppy Ellis. Antoine was an early MMP member, one who considered himself Dante's right-hand man. But this whole time, Dante had this feeling that Antoine's energy was just off. And
yeah, if it's showing him blurred out like that, it means he snitched.
Eventually, this caused him to panic. So in November of
But what made him feel like that though? Like, what randomly made him feel like that?
2012, Dante called up a member named Dontre Johnson, also known as Gambino. Gambino was a wild card, the kind of guy who would do anything that Dante asks. Well, over the phone, Dante informed Gambino about how he felt about Antoine. And of course, Gambino was ready to do anything that would make it right for his boss. November 22nd, 2012. It's a chilly Thanksgiving day in Northwest Baltimore, and Antoine Ellis gathers with his family in Franklintown. After the day, Antoine gets a call from his buddy Gambino. Gambino tells him that they need to talk and to meet him at a nearby park. 6 p.m. Gambino and Antoine meet up and go for a short walk. And that's when Gambino completes the unfortunate mission. This was the first incident in MMP history, and it occurred for no reason. And it would actually be significant.
Yeah, yeah, for no fucking reason. You just killed this nigga just because you felt like he was on some weird timing.
In the direction that they would take from here on. Overall, members became extremely fearful of their leader. They now knew that one wrong move could be the end for them. But for Dante, this boosted his ego for sure, to the point where he began rapping in 2013. He put out a song called Straight Mobbin', where he brags about his mob and everything they do. Also in the video, you can see the lightning bolt under his eye. Well, this was just the start of MMP, and
Didn't he say, like, you gotta be like one of the top ranks? Why are you the only one with the tattoo?
Dante would get more and more wild, and for some odd reason he began getting suspicious of yet another member. This would be a man by the name of James Edwards, also known as Bang Out. He believed that James was being disloyal to him in some way, and that's all the motivation he needed.
This nigga could be on drugs, yo. Like, he just could be on drugs, feeling like, oh man, like, they covered out to get me, they out to get me. Where's the proof? Where's any proof? Like, we don't have no, like, it ain't no proof of anything. It's just like, nah, I just think they out to get me. I just think they tripping. Ooh, ooh. Bro, what?
Same exact situation, except this time, Dante wanted to do it himself. February 12th, 2015. Dante drives from Milford Mill down to Westside, Baltimore. Here, he's set to pick up his friend James Edwards. At 3 p.m., Dante arrives and pulls up on James. As James approaches the car to get in, Dante hops out. And that's when he makes a wild decision. This incident caused a tear within MMP. James Edwards was well liked amongst his peers, and they were definitely not happy about this. On top of this, they felt a way about how Dante was handling himself, especially towards people he claimed he loved. And honestly, this made everything even worse, because now Dante—
Yeah, because at the end of the day, nigga, you killing random motherfuckers for what though? Like, what's your purpose? You saying that, oh man, I got a hunch that they been disloyal, I got a hunch that they doing that, bro. Everybody not here to kiss ass, bro. So nigga might feel some type of way about whatever. They don't give you no right to kill him. As long as these niggas ain't talking to the police, like, what the fuck is you doing, bro? That's how y'all get the police on y'all line. By having hot heads that's willing to crash out constantly over what though? Why we putting heat on ourselves? If we stacking this bread, let's all stack this bread. Y'all need to learn from motherfuckers like BMF, Big Meech and them. Ain't nobody bigger than nobody. We all, what do you say? We all eat. We all shine together. If I got a million, you got a million. Come on, man.
Dante was more paranoid about disloyalty. Some members remained loyal to Dante and others stopped listening to what he said. And this time, one of his loyal followers began having a bad feeling about a fellow member. Gambino became weary of a member named Brian Johnson, also known as Nutty B. He believed that after Nutty B lost his friend James Edwards, he stopped listening to Dante's commands. So in September of 2015, Gambino—
See, that's the crazy. This is why I can't be in no motherfucking game. Because I'm not listening to no grown ass man tell me what I gotta do. Like, nigga, I ain't in prison. What? Oh man, you gotta do this. You gotta do this for the gang, bro. Who the fuck wanna be in the gang? Like, I don't know, bro. Maybe because we don't have gangs where I'm from, but even still, like, bro, I wouldn't even want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that shit from nobody. Like, I don't want to hear nobody tell me, oh, you gotta do this, bro. You gotta do it, bro. Fuck is you talking about? Who you talking to? Fuck, you want to get it on? The hell?
Gambino approached Dante about his concerns. And of course, Dante immediately gave him the green light to do whatever he needed. September 29th, 2015. It's a typical day.
So it just sounds like, so to me, it sounds like that he just taking out the niggas who he been recruiting. Yeah, I'm gonna recruit all these members and just start just taking niggas out of my own. What? Come on, bro.
At the BP gas station on Windsor Mill Road. And that means that Nutty B is outside doing what he does. Well, at 8 p.m., Gambino pulls up to the gas station and walks up to his old friend. Bam.
That's crazy.
At this point, the entire MMP was torn apart. Members feared their leader's wild ways more than anything else in Baltimore. However, when you operated,
I have had this feeling inside me that I am supposed to be doing something.
in this kind of business, you'll eventually run into opposition. In 2015, MMP's territory began spilling over into another section. The section is called Liberty Heights and they cover the Gwynn Oak neighborhood. Well, in 2016, MMP began taking it over and Liberty Heights was not happy. April 29th, 2016. It's a Thursday afternoon and an MMP member named Maurice Mookie Braham is hanging out in Howard Park. At 3 p.m., Maurice walks to a local market on Gwynn Oak Avenue. This is a block that Liberty Heights has long claimed as their own. So Maurice goes into the market, grabs what he needs, and walks outside. There, a rival is standing right in front. Maurice was very—
A rival? What rival did they have? Like, when the fuck they get rivals? It was just them niggas killing each other.
very close to Dante Bailey, a man who Dante could trust with anything. Well, directly after this occurred, Dante received a call from a fellow member informing him of what happened. Dante was furious and instantly took action. 5:45 p.m., Dante Bailey gets in his Mercedes and heads down to Gwynn Oak. He drives around the Liberty Heights territory for 15 minutes until he runs into a man who he believes is responsible. He's only a block away from where the incident occurred, so he assumes that it has to be him. So Dante gets out of his Mercedes and walks up to the man. It turns out that Anthony Horns in fact was not responsible for what happened to Mookie. Well, after doing this, Dante picked up a very strange hobby. He began writing a screenplay about MURDALAND Mafia PIRU. The screenplay was non-fiction, so it recounted every single thing that they had done. He wrote this to show that he was the godfather of Baltimore, doing whatever he wanted. And to this point, he hadn't been caught for anything, and neither had any MMP members. This is mostly because of how dysfunctional Baltimore is, but it's also because of Dante's cleverness. Dante figured that because no one in MMP would ever tell on him, that he would never get caught. So to maintain this status, he was always looking—
Bro, they keep doing this motherfucking slow motion Rick Ross ass jump
out for potential snakes. Well, about 4 months after the last incident, Dante began getting suspicious of yet another member, a member by the name of Ricardo Johnson. Not only did Dante believe Ricardo was telling, but other members did as well. So in August of 2016, Dante ordered a member named Sidney Frazier to handle business. August 10th, 2016, Sidney gets on his dirt bike and heads to Ricardo's apartment in Harlem Park. There, he meets up with another member in a white minivan. The two members wait outside his house until Ricardo comes home. When he arrives, they demand that he gets in the back of the van. Then the driver takes them to an empty railroad in West Baltimore. The driver pushes Ricardo out of the car while Sidney arrives on his motorbike. And that's when Sidney makes his decision. The driver casually walks away on foot, and then Sidney decides to light the van on fire. This was a terrible decision because the trail of smoke could be seen from around the city. By the time Sidney gets back on his bike, Baltimore police are already there. Somehow, Sidney's able to speed away and lose them, but along the way, he threw his possessions into a nearby bush. Well, somehow one of the officers saw him throw it and recovered the item, and through DNA samples, police were eventually able to track him down. So a couple weeks later, police raided Sidney Frazier's home. And here is where things get interesting. After searching through Sidney Frazier's home, police found all kinds of interesting items. First, they found the boxes to the blowers that MMP were using. Right away, they knew that this would help with solving other incidents. And then they found something that would solve it all for them. Okay, wait, let me not get ahead of myself. Shortly after this raid, they received a warrant to search Dante Bailey. So a few days later, they went through his Milford Mill home. There, they could not find a single thing because Dante covered his tracks well. But then one of the officers decided to look through his notebooks, and what he found was an absolute pot of gold. Dante's script had every single incident since March 2nd, 2009. It recounted how they started, who were the first members, and how they made their money. And then it gave reasons for everything that Dante decided to do, from the first incident of Antoine Ellis all the way down to Ricardo Johnson. Baltimore police had one final task that would make or break everything. They needed a judge to approve the script as evidence for a case. It could either be ruled as fiction or it could be evidence to get everyone named arrested. Well, the judge approved it, and Baltimore police now had everything they needed. On June 1st, 2017, 25 MMP members were arrested in Baltimore. Over a dozen members were facing life sentences, and in the end, 4 of them told on their leader, Dante Bailey. This ultimately got him a double life sentence. His biggest fear in the world came true, but it was kind of his fault. None of the members knew about the script, and probably some of them felt like it was a snake move. But what do you guys think?
God damn, they spanked this nigga 2 life sentences. But not only that, like, bruh, why the fuck would you write a story, bro? See y'all niggas in the next video. Peace.